talked to Fedor a little bit about that in the past, and I think it's a lot here this week about just Johan being here.
Fedor Gorst wins the leg.
You know, that support system, no matter who it is or where it comes from, it always helps. You'll see that, something you won't see from really any other player. Does wear a glove, but puts the powder on the chin, gets the cue way down.
Race 211 to be in the biggest match on the pool calendar.
Yeah, and he can't ask for much more than that. And you'll see a big difference between the two break shots, or at least what I suspect from watching Szewczyk this week. You'll see a lot more movement on the object balls, a bit more spreads.
Pause the clock, please.
And a great one to start here for the Ghost.
Start the clock, please.
Julian Roper is the referee. Big occasion for him.
Yeah, and you know, it appears at first glance that that lag will show up if Gors does what he normally does. A very open shot, very easy position here on the red 3. Just one rail up. Oh, he decided to stun, which he likes a lot, so it's a little preference. And a lot of that is preference, especially for the first shot, right? I mean, if it's got a few choices, you're going to go with what you feel the best about or what you like to play, especially to open the match. That one came a little more than maybe he suspected. You'll see the 7 over funny over the lower right. So he'll want an angle on the 5 to avoid the 9, but come across for the 6 in the upper right corner. And I think he's, you know, believe it or not, even though he's a former world champion, I think he's learned a ton on the World Nineball Tour the last couple years. You know, that U.S. Open loss last year, I think, played a big part in his success here in 2024 with the Masters Championship. I think it's going to play a big part here, trying to move forward and hoist that trophy. And that's always nice as well, to be able to play a delicate shot early and have success. Just wants to slide over between the green 6 and the black 8. He's very comfortable and close to the purple, so this shouldn't be a problem. One thing that I preach to people is about your process to keep you in the moment, and that's one thing that I feel like is his best attribute overall. The 7 is close to the pocket, so he can cheat it a bit. Just pull the cue ball up the right side of the 8. Doesn't want to get really thin here, though, and have to play the 9 up long, or maybe a tricky cue ball from the 8 to the 9. So somewhat heavy on the 8 would be good.
The solidity on display in this first rack, typical Gorst.
Fedor Gorst wins the rack.
Off to a flyer. not in keeping with the way he started this tournament. We've been competing here, watching the action since Monday evening. And Gorst, and I think jet lag had something to do with it, but he started off very poorly indeed, losing to Mustafa Alner. That was a real shocker. The Wong Dok Tien had that brain freeze. Kyle Amoroto came so close, so too Amir Ali from Iraq, who led 7-0 at one stage. Chang Long battled hard, not quite hard enough. Chris Melling was the sole surviving Brit in the last 16, but he didn't quite get over the line. And then the win over Anton Raga after Raga had beaten Joshua Filler impressively in the round before. I think that was the pick of the bunch.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the match he played his best. You can look at Szewczyk here.
Yes, again, a first match defeat against Jonas Suter Camino, fine prospect from Spain, beating Moritz Neuhausen 11-2. That must have been a really good display. Piers Labutis has been in 2 major Matchroom World Nineball Tour ranking events of late. He was put to the sword 11-8. What a scalp, Shane Van Boning. I have to say, though, Shane wasn't at his best in that match. I think he contributed to his own downfall.
Rack 2. Fedor Gorst to break, leading 1-0.
Gorst just wants more of the same. He wants to replicate the first rack here in the second.
Yeah, you could kind of hear not the best connection on the rack, and Szewczyk's going to get a nice one to start here, just inches away from the one. What will be a combination, and he can hold the one pretty easily as well. I was going to say, you said replicate. That's probably what makes him the best, is really being able to repeat things and do a lot of the same things over and over. Any sport, that's what you're looking for. Trying to look at the out here, not too bad. The 2 over the pocket should be able to hold the 1. Probably the 3 to the 5. That's the real little bit of stress, you might say. Now, you and I did the match last night between him and Zielinski, and I think he got a little timid at times with a lead, but kind of picked it up at the end, and the stroke got a little freer, and I think he's going to need it.
Yes, there was the point midway through the match where I actually said on commentary that I thought he would struggle to get over the line, and of course he did not. It was as though as the line came closer, he became more emboldened.
Yeah, well, you know, the Poles stick together, and we always talk about the Coe brothers as being family, and they've never really performed that well as a whole against each other, or at least nothing we've seen. You know, that can be the same with close friends and such a big moment as well. But like Szewczyk said, that's just part of the sport. All these guys are colleagues and good friends, but they have to beat each other for a living. I like the stroke on the 2 ball. I'm not saying it was a tough shot, but just something that can kind of give you a good feeling. And he's gotten through the tough stuff now. Does the 8 pass the 9? That's what he's checking now. Shouldn't make a huge difference on how he gets on the 6, but certainly how he gets on the brown 7. We could see after the dry break, it really set up for the run out. I think the question with Szewczyk is going to be the long ball. And, you know, last night, the way he broke the balls, there wasn't or weren't many long balls involved. It's usually something after the break where you really have to come with something. Once these players get in control, as you can see in the first 2 games, or let's say game and a half, they usually stay in line very well. You would think this is pretty easy, but early, you want to get pretty nice on the 8, just because the 9's pretty near, and I don't think he has a full pocket. He's overran. This has got to slow down a little bit, and it just did.
Wojciech Szewczyk wins the rack.
In his effort to become the first Polish player to reach the World Nineball Championship final, Wojciech Szewczyk draws level at 1 rack each. He didn't seem best pleased, Fedor Gorst, when he returned to his chair after the dry break. Don't know whether the balls have been racked against his liking.
No, I mean, the 9, we always talk about it. The 9 didn't move much, so I really like the rack. Look at the spread. He didn't miss the 1 by much. That's just how fickle the break can be with this cut break. We've seen it all week. I think maybe more dry breaks this week on the main table than we've ever seen in one of these major championships or a big tournament.
Well, one major anomaly I'll remember was the Chris Melling match against Imran Majid. Melling had 7 dry breaks in a race to 9 and still won it 9-4. Now that is seemingly impossible.
Yeah, and maybe that was a little mental on Imran's point. You know, it was a big moment for him, and you know, maybe you have certain players that kind of hold over you. Maybe you haven't beaten them much or at all, and you know they've teed it off against each other many times. I was hats off to Chris Melling, by the way. I thought he got better every match. You know, at one point after the Yap match, I didn't think he'd make the final 64 the way he had broken the balls and maybe made some mistakes, but he got it together. He was a lot more smiles and good to see.
Yes, and coming back from 10-8 down to beat fellow Brit Elliot Sanderson 11-10, he played some really good pool in the heat.
Yeah, absolutely. And another guy that I was super impressed with, Elliot. He's bringing his game.
Rack 3, Wojciech Szewczyk to break. The match is tied, 1 rack each.
You can see a totally different breaking position with the cue ball, and you'll see a different speed as well, unless he comes with something different than last night. And why would you change? He got more of a spread than we saw last night overall. What was table 1? But really more of an arm break than much body involved. 2 ball did bounce up. If you're wondering about the rack, the 1 goes up top, the 9 in the middle. The 2 is random on the wings, that being the 2 wing balls and the 1 in the back. Everything else is purely random. You wonder why that is, because the players play the 1 so much in the side. Position of the 2 needs to be random, and the most difficult position as well, that being the wings. Saw a few times in that first rack after he shot the 8, he kind of cleared his throat a few times. Noticed that, so probably the nerves are flowing. This is going to scratch, and he's overcut that to the pocket. That's why he missed the side rail by some probably 2 diamonds.
Please start the clock.
Szewczyk had that sinking feeling as the cue ball was coming back up the table.
Yeah, and what that is you're afraid of chunking the 2 ball, right? Hitting it thick. So he aimed a little thinner on it. The dry table doesn't grab the spin quite as much, and therefore lost the cue ball. And it was always going to scratch either off the 3 or clean. He's got to make a little funny shot here, drawing the cue ball one rail, or just straight back, excuse me, between the 4 and the green 6. And he's always thinking, Phil, you know, a lot of players just key on the line. He made sure he had enough speed to bounce off the rail there and get away from the 9 as much as possible.
I love the lines when Fedor Gorst is playing. Textbook. But of course, it's not just about technique, it's about temperament, and he's got that as well. He's the whole package. The whole package in terms of how versatile he is as well when it comes to pool. Only 24 years of age. And yet, he seems to have all versions of pool well encoded in the brain.
Yeah, as a young man, boy, really, he always wanted to be in sport, and actually started out, I think, with cross-country skiing, and then found pyramid for a little bit, I think, before changing to American Nineball. And you know, like a lot of us, we played a lot of different sports, and lucky enough to find this one, and it's certainly the one that was made for him.
What do they say? Old head on young shoulders. He won the Derby City Classic one pocket again this year. You've got to be wise to play that game. A lateral thinker. And literally
Fedor
here,
Gorst wins the rack.
Fedor Gorst is back in front. He leads very early days in this second semi-final by 2 racks to 1. Looking down from on high, we're at the Prince Abdullah Al Faisal Sports City. It really is a simply wonderful facility in a wonderful city. Jeddah, the second biggest city in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the second biggest port in the Middle East. The weather has been perfect all week. So warm, so welcoming, much like the hospitality
leading
here.
by 2 racks to 1.
And warming up in terms of form, I think it's fair to say Fedor Gorst, will his break off in the 4th rack be a little better than his break in the 2nd? Double dry.
Yeah, and he went a little more at that one than I'm used to. He doesn't break soft by any means. There's never a question mark in that regard, but it seemed a little quicker transition. Now a little more of a layout for Szewczyk, so he's got to just take on a 2-8 combination here in a moment. Looks like the 1's very playable. He's got a 2-rail path around the 9. It's all about the speed control on the cue ball. Yeah, this looks pretty nice. Really nice, actually. He's a hair off angle, so he's going to have to draw the ball a bit. I think the 2 should slide a hair to the side rail.
And right now, this rack has got the potential to be a carbon copy of the second.
Yeah, he's got some maneuvering to do with the cue ball, though. The red 3 is a little covered by the purple, not much, but it's sending the cue ball a little towards the brown. Of course, the 2 is not a problem at all. Some would say the first part, and then you saw him look to the gods there, so he's going to have to maneuver here. The good thing is the pink is okay, but you don't want to get super thin on the pink if you can help it. I think with a high ball, he can avoid the brown here. Maybe come 2 soft cushions, just hover a little past the 9.
Extension called.
Now what you'll find on the slicker table, and that's what we have always with the TV table, it's not like the Mosconi, you might say, but you don't want to have to try and check the cue ball or really try and do a whole lot of maneuvering with side spin if you can help it. That's pretty good speed. So now it's obvious that he wants to open the cue ball up here. Maybe just come across the spot for the purple in the upper right. That would be the play. Could track all the way down for the side, but I would stay away from that. Just keep it simple. I tell you, he's had the speed control. He's had it down so far, and that's always a question mark. You can tell that's the one that really lacks when the nerves are high.
So it was the scratch from Szewczyk in potting the 2 in the previous rack that cost him. Looks as though the dry breaks of Gorst are going to cost him. Quality stuff so far.
Yeah, after the break for Fedor Gorst, it's been really good. The opening break and run, of course, always nice. But Szewczyk, he's kept up with him. I'll tell you, he's played pretty picture perfect angles here. So again, he can come 1 rail or 2. Most would come 2 cushions, hitting maybe the diamond just below the side with the cue ball off the second cushion. And Phil, would you say, I mean, you know, he doesn't have the lead, but you'd have to say the exact start that Szewczyk really kind of needed, maybe.
Yes, Fedor Gorst will no doubt respect Wojciech Szewczyk, but it's always a good thing to plant an additional seed of doubt in an opponent's mind.
Yeah, and it's not like, you know, he got to clear some balls, right? He got to run a couple racks and get in these 2 games, so it's not just getting on the board, but it's getting the arm loose and maybe easing the mind.
In terms of strength and depth, Poland are one of the most powerful nations in Europe, you could say, maybe in the world, and yet they haven't had any success in terms of capturing a title in a matchroom event since Karol Skawerski came good at the World Pool Masters in Kielce, Poland in 2012. We were looking at some old footage this morning, Michael McMullen and I, when Wojciech Szewczyk helped Poland reach the final of the World Cup of Pool that same year. And we were thinking, was it really him? Because of course in 2012 he was 18. So we put on the old YouTube and reacquainted ourselves with the pictures, and of course it was a very youthful version. So he has been in a big final on that occasion. Poland acquitted themselves well, but they succumbed in the end 10-8 to Finland. That was good, but this is mega.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And you know, it's awesome to be labeled as a country that's so deep, and then the next label would be consistent, but you really want the champions. That's what the Polish players and people want, and that's what Szewczyk's trying to give them.
As for Gorst this year, well, he's been maintaining that winning habit. We mentioned his World Masters success over Joshua Filler, 13-12. That was the
Rack 5.
the crown
Wojciech
jewel for
Szewczyk
him
to
so
break.
far
The
in
match
what
is
he's won.
tied, 2 racks each.
But he's also captured titles at the Turning Stone Classic. I mentioned that one pocket at the Derby City Classic, and most recently he won the Rally in Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, beating Roberto Gomez in the final. That was a World Nineball Tour ranking event.
I'll tell you, this is going to come clean, I think. Cue ball has to slow down. I think it did. I think so anyways. We'll get a look now. Yeah, it definitely slowed up. And a nice spread, even breaking better than he did last night in the quarterfinal. And he's breaking just off center on his left side of the box. Gorst at the extreme corner on the right side, and with 2 dry breaks. Gors is obviously paying attention. That's one of the reasons he's so great. Does he make a little switch when he gets back to the breaking end? Because you can't be stubborn. I mean, it's a nice, healthy race to 11, but it, you know, it's not an all-day race where you can take your time. What I like about the 4 players we had in our semifinals is they're all just a little different, and that's the beauty of the sport. Ooh, he's going to get a little awkward cueing. He's nice and close. Doesn't have to do a lot with the cue ball. Gorst, who has it all, best jumper in the world, one of the best breakers, and of course great under pressure. Kachi, maybe one of the best cueists you'll ever see with so much power. Johan Chua, of course, who's exited the tournament, but the aggression that he brings, it's always fun to watch. And I think Szewczyk, you may label him as he just kind of keeps it simple, waits for his opportunity and takes advantage. Watch for the left knuckle. This is the one. You're always afraid of a little skid when you're hitting down on the ball. It's almost in the back of your mind without you even knowing it. So easy to drive this into the left knuckle.
Well, we've already described Szewczyk as a wild card for the championship, which is accurate. I think it's also a label you could put on him, forgotten man, before we started out. Given his career CV, it's not a major surprise he's here at all. He's not an imposter.
Well, he's kind of like some of the Filipino players, you know, some are so animated and whatnot, but they all carry incredible cue. And when you're a little bit of the more quiet type, you kind of get overlooked. And I think that's what's happens with Szewczyk here and there, especially with so many, you know, characters in our sport, which you can definitely say is one of the pluses. Now, does he just keep it simple here as he try to move the cue ball? Could just hold there for the 7 in the corner. The 8's pretty playable. I think he's going to try and work the cue ball up for the brown in the middle, though. Anytime you're stretched, speed control in the line can be a little funny. Don't you see a little more freedom in the swing than we saw last night, even though he had such a convincing win?
Yeah, I think the fact they were good friends, it just sort of lent to a little bit of tension. Also the fact that they had to wait quite a while before the match began, that didn't help either.
Yeah, I don't think he was in love with that stroke. We saw twice last night where he did open the door. It was the draw stroke that was a little suspect, and that was closer to getting a snooker than we think. chip in 9-ball for his first lead.
Wojciech Szewczyk wins the rack.
Wojciech Szewczyk is no pushover. He's a 3-time Polish 9-ball champion. In that company to win that title more than once, you know you can hold a cue. And right now he's holding a lead at 3-2. And look at this, unprecedented riches in the World 9-ball Championship. It's a $1 million prize fund. And now we get down to serious cash. Anyone who gets to the final guaranteed 100,000 US dollars. If you win the whole thing, it's 250,000. And just to put that into context, to give you a frame of reference, last year when Francisco Sanchez Ruiz became World 9-ball champion, he won 60,000 US. So the first prize this time is over 4 times bigger than it was in 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. And the real special part about it is it's a 10-year deal here in Saudi Arabia, so you know they're not going to be backing up. For all that talent in America, I really want y'all to think about that, because the World 9-ball Tour, you know they're going to improve all the other events, add more. The prize money for those events are going to go up as well. So time to get to chalking that cue and put some practice in, I think.
Yeah, and maybe worth a reminder here as to where we go next, because lots of pool to come in 2024. Our next major World 9-ball Tour ranking event in mid-August is the very popular European Open in Fulda, Germany, about an hour's train ride outside of Frankfurt.
Rack 6, Wojciech Szewczyk to break, leading by 3 racks to 2.
Yeah, another beautiful venue and very comfortable as well, with the hotel next door and a nice town to boot. Nineball. Okay, the 2 got kicked, but it's gonna bounce a bit. I don't think there's anything offensive. So we'll see what he contemplates on a difficult 2-ball, if he can get at it. Could be a push out. And if you're new to 9-ball, after the break and only
Push
after
out
the break.
called.
You could hear it called there and by Julian, but yeah, after the break and only after the break. The breaker after making a ball, or the incoming player after a dry break, one time can declare a push out and move the cue ball anywhere on the table without a foul being called. The incoming player has the option to take the shot or pass it back. And you know, you and I have talked about this many times. I think a little this generation could get better at it, to be fair, just because I think the jump cue and certain things that they've gotten so good at. But I think it's a very instrumental part in winning big matches, especially towards the end of the tournament.
Fedor, it's your choice.
It's a game within a game. A very mental thing where you don't just play the balls, you play the opponent and try and weigh up their strengths and weaknesses.
Well, you nailed it on the hit the nail on the head there, because Szewczyk has to know how well Fedor Gorst banks the ball. You know, and Fedor's not afraid. We saw that with a big 9-ball last night against Anton Raga. It was hit as sweet as apple pie, right? Does he go here with natural position on the red 3? We got a friend in the arena there messing with the players. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if he attacks. He's not afraid. He's one of those guys that's willing to take the win.
Extension called.
And not worried about losing. Now, he could do a number of things here. He can kick behind this, kind of send it between the 8 and 9 with a lot of balls covering up. He could maybe run the cue ball a bit. But I just got to believe he fancies his chances to make the bank. Just kind of knowing his body movement. Now, maybe not. Maybe he's looking at something else coming off the right side and running the cue ball. Really nice strike there. Very committed to the stroke. May leave a little piece. I don't know. His head's hanging a bit. And it appears there is a window. You don't see Szewczyk really looking at any rails to kick to.
That's the Spanish contingent. The player we saw lifting his arms there right at the end on the far right-hand side. That's Jonas Suter Camino, who beat Szewczyk
Extension called.
in Szewczyk's first match here. Little did we know then what would transpire.
And really the third in a trio of great players. I think he's the next in line for Spain. Of course, Fran and David aren't done yet, that's for sure. Wasn't hit poorly. He's going to get a bit of a roll as well. Now, we talked about Fedor being the greatest jumper, I think, ever, and definitely in today's game. He made a few of them last night to really separate himself in that match, and that wasn't hit poorly. It's just a difficult shot.
And that's what we were talking about with the push out. You will not see Szewczyk push out to a jump, not against Fedor.
They trying to one rail this in the corner. The ball's going to come down. I don't think he's going to leave an offensive shot. Pretty routine safety to roll onto the 8 with the cue ball. Shouldn't have to leave much of a jump, but maybe the speed looks like he may leave the 2 near the side. Give up a one rail kick. He got enough speed on that to get it somewhat away from the pocket, so you could see he put the thought into that as well. I gotta believe there's a group of Polish players around here somewhere.
Well, Szewczyk is trying to become the second Polish player to reach a major matchroom final, because at the UK Open last month it was the turn of Mieszko Fortunski.
Yeah, I like that speed, even though it's going to open up. I think it really gave him the percentage on enough to make the ball and hold position, but also maybe get behind the 8 or the 9. That with the cue ball or the blue 2. Big shot here. He's got to put a little inside spin, I think. He got through the ball nicely and gotten over the 9, but you can tell it's a difficult rack, even though all the balls are fairly close together. Does he come across one rail for the pink in the side, I believe, anyways? Wow, that tells me a lot. I know he's going to fall a little funny, but you got to appreciate how he hit that ball with a little inside spin, cueing downward. This is not easy. The camera will certainly fool you on this angle, and he's got to put some speed on this to get around.
The initial indications are very positive, I think, for Szewczyk. He looks more settled, certainly, than he did against Van Boning. And more than he did, in my opinion, against Victor Zielinski, even though he won that match with something to spare.
Yeah, well, I think he's already had to make more shots. That's got to really slow down. I think it will. I think the TV tables played a little faster than the outer tables did this week. We commented that we thought the bed played a little slow, and it wasn't by fault or anything. Just that's how it is with conditions at times. Yeah, but you know how sport is, Phil. The more balls he knocks in, especially the nice ones, and you know, you just don't realize subconsciously the brain and the body are connecting better and better. Got odd here. I was wondering about that. Looked like he could have stunned over a little for the 8 in the corner. Now an odd one. Not a lot of angle to move the ball. Remember, these are 4 1/4 inch sides, which the corners are 4, but the sides, that's pretty tight because you can't use the rail to slide the ball in. So is he going all the way around? We really never had him last night have to get into the cue ball as much as he has here early.
Wojciech Szewczyk wins the round.
Good stuff from Wojciech Szewczyk. For the first time, a player has a 2-rack lead in the match, and it is the man from Poland. VIPs on the table, VIPs watching on the left-hand side. The main man in the Saudi Billiards and Snooker Federation. And by his side, Emily Fraser, who,
Rack 7,
with her matchroom team, who works so hard,
leading by 4 racks
so
to
hard
2.
throughout the week. They are transforming the game of 9-ball pool. Unsung heroes like Jake Aspey, Jack Mitchell. There is such wonderful work behind the scenes to promote this game.
Yeah, and I think he's putting a little more into it than we saw last night. Making 2 on the break. And he has a doable play on the 2. A little awkward with the 6 there. I don't think the scratch is a real problem. You can see 4 successful breaks to only 1 from Fedor Gorst, and that has been the difference. Besides some awesome play by, of course, Szewczyk. He's got 1 little roll on a miss on the 2 ball, but you know, that's part of it. Not sure what he's doing with a high ball here. Is he trying to get into the 6 off 1 cushion to hold for the 3? Oh, he hit, yeah, kind of shouldered that one, as you say, Phil.
Well, it was so far off. My initial thought was, did he have a skid? Because, of course, it went very thick, but I think it was just very poorly hit. There's no asking the referee to clean the cue ball from Gorst.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer that The stroke does promote a little bit of that, especially with inside spin. And like you said, there's no way he's aiming that poorly. So big moment there. And I was kind of wondering about the shot itself. He wanted the 2 a little further to keep the jump away. That being Gorst. I think at first, though, when he was going to shoot the 2, he was going to elevate, kind of stun 2 rails for a bit of a shot on the 3. He wanted to get better.
Extension called.
And this is the type, even though there's some distance, very, very makeable.
I thought he might get away with that, but the 2 ball just came to rest in time. Well, from Gors' perspective, it came to rest in time.
Yeah, and he's got to go into balls here. He may use this extension.
Called.
Yeah, I was going to say, this looks like wants to be clear in the head how he wants to hit this ball. Going to definitely catch the purple. The problem is the 3 doesn't pass the 6. So how much of the purple is he going to catch? And can he hold for the 3 in the side? Thing is, that hadn't really shot at a ball in a while. Do you want to hit this with a real delicate speed? May let it go a little bit. And as awkward a cueing as you could have to something that's pretty steep to the left middle. All right, he's looking at the safety, I believe. Maybe the cross corner bank with a backdoor safety and a long position shot on the purple. You wouldn't think so. He's going to chop this by the 6. 1 rail cue ball by the 8. And ended up a little short. I'll tell you, he may go for this. Try and bring the cue ball up by the 9. I mean, the 7's there as well. It lays pretty natural. That's sweet stuff there. So you gotta say, after a couple misses on the 2 ball, 1 earlier, 1 in this game, you know, he's taken advantage very well of the little bit of rolls he's gotten so far. It hadn't been a lot, and then really solid otherwise.
Yes, the luck he had last night against Zielinski was obvious, plain for all to see. The fortune here has been minimal, nuanced. Cue ball going all around the table, and I'll tell you what, it could have been worse from that position, Jeremy.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get a replay, but it's amazing how thin he chopped the 3 coming behind it. Of course, he did bend the cue ball into that kick shot, so. But just watch how thin this hits and chops the 3 over as the cue ball traveled, what, another 9 or 10 feet.
The last camera shot we got there was a tremendous indication of just how wide the stance is of Szewczyk. The 2 legs splayed.
Yeah, and I'm not in love with the shot overall on this at this level with the 5 being there. Now, he did get some awkward cueing, but most players, if he's not jacked up here, he's going to plant you behind a purple. I think maybe going for the bank.
You picked the shot, he picked the shot without much hesitation.
Well, that's the thing about 9-ball pool. A lot of people are convinced, oh, it's real concrete what you do. But I think he feels like maybe things aren't going his way a little bit on a few things. So let me put it in my own hands. See if I can get going.
Yeah, in baseball, they always talk about a situational hitter. I think the game's greats in 9-ball are situational shot makers that change the script.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it takes a while to learn that as well. And, of course, this guy learns at an accelerated rate compared to most. But I dealt with that for a little while, and it's just not always the same. Even though you may have the same shot, the situation feels different. You feel different. You get a lot of feeling about how things are going. I like the little extra time here just to regroup, make sure you don't have a silly miss.
Fedor Gorst wins the rack.
I'll tell you what, that 9-ball was a little wide when he hit it. I was wondering whether it was going to be okay. The pocket sucked it in, and so Gorst gets back within one at 4-3. Plenty, Jeremy, to talk about in that rack.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see this miss here. He kind of let up. That's usually what happens when you get a big miss with inside position, and that's why the shoulder, as Phil says, got a little involved. And what a bank here. I think maybe if he can cue the ball better, he may play the safety, but didn't want to go down with a tough safety with awkward cueing. And again, I really think it was a feeling of maybe things aren't going my way. Now that 9-ball, and he's missed a few 9-balls this week, you know, something very abnormal for Fedor Gorst, but what a match we got going on so far.
Some might be surprised that Szewczyk is in front, but one thing that was in his favour statistically coming into this match, the amount of racks he's lost. To be here before the start of the match, he'd lost 40 racks in the championship. Gorst had lost 56. The road here for him has been very arduous indeed. Now, he's just turned 24, he's physically fit. It's not physically demanding to get involved in that many racks and that many late night finishes, but I think it is mentally demanding, and maybe lesser players would be feeling it. But I think with him, he is so attuned to the winning process, it won't be a problem.
Fedor Gorst to break, trailing by 4 racks to 3.
Yeah, I agree, and maybe a little surprising he's staying on this side. Of course, Szewczyk didn't get any more games on his side, so maybe he feels like he can give it 1, maybe 2 more tries. That's more what he wants. You can just see a bit more action on the object balls, and the 2's going to dress up nicely. How nice is this?
So that 4-ball, a random nudge, kept the cue ball in mid-table, and although it was hit by the 2, everything's okay.
Yeah, and the layout is pretty sweet overall. Of course, the starter, it's about as good as it gets. Gors 50% on breaking success at 100% versus his opponent. But the 4-5's okay. The 7 is a nice ball because the 6 is a little covered up, but should have a tie ball game here soon.
Got a confession, Jeremy. The other night I was commentating with Scott Frost and I mentioned those two words, road map. It didn't work out.
Yeah, well, you mention it here again, and I like your chances. And it's been a minute, Phil, so it's okay. He wants to probably stun this lightly to get off the rail. Can handle a lot on the 6. Like I said, the brown 7 very accessible. But again, if you ever want to learn about really how to take that next step, especially in competition, it's all about that process. And that's what keeps you in the moment, keeps you in that working kind of look, really. And for most players, it takes a little bit because you tend to get a little more nervous when you first, you know, apply that to your game, but it will pay some dividends, I'll tell you. And it looks like one rail to the center. Just a little check here. Ooh, that one was a little thick, and you'll see that from time to time when the player wants to check the ball. Okay, how's he feeling? Does he stun across? Does he go forward? Probably forward. The 9-ball's a little impeding the stun shot. And he has, you know, considering that 9-ball of last, he's, well, hasn't hit the pocket super clean on a few of these.
There was an old snooker commentator who used to say that ball wiped its feet.
Yeah, the same thing in 9-ball pool. The famous Grady Matthews. That was one he brought to commentary on the other side of the Atlantic. And even there, that kind of little so-so.
Extension called.
Does he hold the ball? Usually won't from distance here. Usually go ahead and let the stroke out a little bit.
Parity is about to be achieved.
Fedor Gorst wins the rack.
Very competitive semi-final this. It was 1-1, it was 2-2, and now, after falling 2 racks adrift, Fedor Gorst is back to 4-4. Now there are 2 finish Polish players. Victor Zielinski over the disappointment of defeat last night in the quarter-final on the left-hand side. Yeah, thumbs up, Victor, you'll be back, don't worry about that. And Mieszko Fortunski, who was runner-up in the UK Open to Robbie Capito. I know the Polish pool authorities have done a wonderful job in promoting the game in that country. There's a great league and regional and national structure, and that's why so many players from that part of the world compete very seriously on the international stage.
Yeah, they carry 10 or 12 on the men's side. I know there's a few on the ladies' side as well, and you know, probably hundreds of juniors aspiring to be wearing the red and white and represent that country.
Fedor Gorst just chatting away to himself. When you've been in a whole host of finals and title matches, latter stages of events, it does provide a safety net, if you like, because in this kind of situation you are accustomed to what you're feeling. You know what it's all about. You do it on a regular basis. Although playing for $250,000 US,
Rack
that's
9,
unique for
Fedor
all
Gorst
of
to break.
these,
The
every
match
single
tied,
one of them.
4 racks each.
Yeah, you're still going to have the nerves, though, and it's, like I said, going through dotting the I's and crossing the T's, however you do it, to yourself in position to stroke the ball. Yeah. Now that one there looked a little more like the hit on the cue ball wasn't quite as good, or the hit on the one rather. Well, I mean, came across pretty well. Now, did he bump free from the 9? I think he did. Ooh, that's close.
The expression, I think, tells us.
Yeah, and that may be a bit of expression about the break shot itself as well. And he's going to size up the jump, I think, yeah. It's just a sliver. Oh, he's looking to see if he can play the 1 off the 5. Oh, he's going to have a lot of speed on the cue ball doing that. It's definitely there, though. Now, does he try to come 1 rail with a high ball? That's the most comfortable way to play these types of shots. Maybe go into the brown. Is it going to be a bit thin where he catches the pink coming up? The problem is I think he has to take it on no matter what. I mean, the push out is very difficult. The jump shot probably not on. All right. Let's see what happens here. The 4-5 got tied up. Pretty nifty play, though.
Yeah, full of imagination. He did not deserve the 4 and the 5 cozying up.
And the thing is, you know, he'll certainly not be afraid to get in a position to maybe bank a ball, but I don't think that's on the 4. And is it on to get in an easy position to play a safety? 3 definitely pocketable, but does he want to move forward from here? Normally you would like to pocket the 3 and take care of the problem with a solid safety, but if it's not there, you may see him pass on shooting the 3. Now he'll fool you. Sometime you see he's aiming in the middle and then he drops the tip a little bit for the draw. That was just a stun. So there must be a little gap here because he's going to knock the pink, it looks like, to the side rail, bringing it to the bottom cushion and run the cue ball up the table, maybe using the 9, maybe the 6 as some cover. Looks like, does he go 1 rail between the 5-9 up to the behind the 6? Looks the most simple path. Really good speed with the object ball, and what's so impressive about the professionals in pool is it's such a vast game. You can't practice all the shots. You have to really, you know, imagine it, you know, pick out something that feels good and then execute.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's an infinite number of variables.
Yeah, it's similar to golf in a way like that. I mean, where they learn about the lies and whatnot. Normally shots. And it opens up in golf when you're around the green, the short game. But pool, it's just everywhere, really. Now this, if he's coming 2 rails, doesn't really have to put a ton into this. He hits the right mark to get the 4 safe. It's a lot of speed. Oh, this is tight, so I don't know. I was going to say maybe the scratch on in the lower right. And it's not absolutely prime, but you got to think it's pretty good. Should earn him another turn at the table.
It does, but it's an obscured turn at the table. The brown 7 seeing to that.
Yeah, I was a little surprised he didn't kind of just stun his ball and stop it, kind of move it over a few inches, trying to weld it on the brown. Didn't really fear the forward getting away. And this is a little shocking as well. Maybe he's worried about whiffing the kick. I didn't think it was that difficult. Not seeing the future here, though. Yeah.
Foul shot. Ball in hand.
And at this level, the referee has just called ball in hand, and when
Start the clock.
that's the case at this level, it's not quite the end of rack. Strange things happen, but it should be the end of rack.
Yeah, and anytime you have to get over a close one and the object ball is some distance away, then what happens is you lose a lot of energy on the cue ball moving forward. It's more going up in the air. So any miss hit on the cue ball, that ball will actually curve once it starts to hit the slate and makes a few bounces. So our friend is back. Now, interesting to see on Gors changing that extension as far as not changing it but taking it off and on. It's been distance and a little power when he's added it. Kind of fell where he can go 2 rails or 1. And you can't really argue either. Now, is he going to bring the cue ball all the way back to the cushion and back out? I don't think he has to. It'll just be somewhat where his hand's at now.
Giving this every due care and attention, quite rightly so. Big moment in the match. Barring an extraordinary mistake.
Fedor
Yes,
Gorst
it's
wins the rack.
3 racks in succession for Fedor Gorst. He fell 4-2 behind. Now, though, he's 5-4 in front. It is the second semi-final of the World Nineball Championship. They're calling it the crown jewel of the World Nineball Tour, and that is a very appropriate description. Not happy with the fact that insects are floating around over the rack. Let's see if he's happy with the break itself. Fedor Gorst, 5-4 up, looking to consolidate. He's being bugged by a bug.
Yeah, they're going to name it if it hangs out much longer, I'll tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you. And every now and again, you'll see this kind of grouping. A lot of times all the balls will end up on one side when they get these kisses like this. The pink 4, the lonely ball on the left side of the table as a viewer. Does have a thin one in the side, but can you really get much on the cue ball? the pink 4 wasn't there, he could chop this ball on the side and run, but I think the 4 is right in the way. Maybe not. See an awkward rack though.
That's the great thing with Gorst. He can be offensive and play with the best of them, but also when it comes to defensive pool, he has got so much savvy.
Yeah, and it's really the tougher positions where he really shines. You know, the obvious ones many players can handle. Okay, he could dig into the cue ball with a little low outside, accepting a little distance on the 3. Now is the 6-9 playable? Not overlooking these next few, but yeah, the combination does look to be possible. So a big shot here.
Extension called.
Don't think he wants to dig on this one as much. Maybe. If he does, he maybe comes 2 rails just past the side, crossing the head string for the pink in the upper left. Could dig on it just 2 rails for short side on the pink as well. Little preference. I don't know if you notice, since we commented, or at least I commented on hitting the pocket a little rough, it's been center cut ever since.
It's like an internal wake-up call.
Yeah, absolutely. He notices those things not only about his opponent, but about himself. Okay, a little top stun you'd be. And the purple plays for sure, and he's gotten in great position. Wanted to have an angle, because the 6-9, he's got to hit 6 onto the 9 in a thinly manner. Probably comes 2 rails here because he's got to play the purple to the outside of the pocket, so you don't want to dig on the cue ball. Sometimes you can kind of overlook something, maybe catch the 8 coming in. These are always awkward, and this is where you can get a little bit of a kick, because the 6 is going to slide into the 9 no matter what, just because of the close proximity.
In the end, it was as clean as the proverbial whistle. You know, in the first semi-final, we saw Eklenkachi produce a surge to turn early problems into victory. Is this the Fedor Gorst surge? Well, he was 4-2 behind. Now the picture has been transformed. 6-9 combination, Jeremy.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, you know, he's really played a really solid match overall. I can't remember a mistake besides the break shot kind of leaving him for a couple racks, that being his second and third break. So good stuff for Gors so far, and Szewczyk's just been iced out a little bit the last 4 games.
Yeah, Gorst, if you're just joining us, broke dry in the second rack, and he did the same thing in the 4th as well. Lost both of them. You know, obviously with Fedor Gorst, if he were to win this match and guarantee himself $100,000 US, that would put him in the US Mosconi Cup team. But we all know he's going to be there anyway. That's an absolute given. It's hardly hold the back page stuff, that. And I think his inclusion in the USA team has really changed the dynamic, even though on his debut he was on a losing side. That's Max Lechner there with the beer just on his own in the row, isolated. Mario He on his phone there, and Vietnam's leading player on the back row, Duong Qua Quang.
Rack 11, Fedor Gorst to break, leading by 6 racks to 4.
Well, you know, Fedor could have had a little better Mosconi last year, but I thought he improved
Show your
and
phones are on
improved.
silent, please.
I think he's going to really shine this year, and there's going to be some drama if it kind of unfolds on that American team as it stands now. We'll explain it in a few minutes. All right, the 2-ball got kissed up, so it's going to be a push out. Just look back at 4-2. I know it's still somewhat
Push
early.
out called.
Mid-match, you'd say, but that missed 2-ball after the break. We were acting like he maybe got a kick or whatever, right, from Szewczyk, but that's what opened the door for Mr. Gorst. But besides that 2-ball, he's played pretty well, Szewczyk. So he's just got to keep the confidence. And again, very difficult push-out situation, and you know, you can't really replace a ball. A lot of times when you're in a push-out situation, you kind of feel like you're behind in the game, especially at this level. So a lot of times, sometimes you'll want to tie a ball up, trying to lengthen the game a bit, give yourself more innings at the table. That's another thing. Cut off the cue ball, big part of the push-out.
I saw one of the most extraordinary push-outs ever in this championship on an outside table. Elliot Sanderson in his deciding rack against Mustafa Alder. He just couldn't decide what to do. Funnily enough, on the 2-ball it was. He took forever to make the decision. It seemed like he got up and down on countless occasions. In the end, he pushed out quite simply. Alder made a safety mistake and Sanderson won the rack, but the indecision, well, he was racked with it.
Yeah, going behind the 9, you would suspect here. I was watching that same match, and okay, not how I exactly planned it. The cue ball, of course, but he wanted the 2 clean up the table. And
Pause the clock, please.
yeah, that was a winner's qualification for Elliot. And again,
Reset
man,
the
hats
clock.
off to Elliot for all the hard work. Keep doing what you're doing. The shouter will shout again.
Extension called.
Wow, he's got to jump this ball. That's just amazing to me. I mean, you know, a lot of them practice this, but not many will pull the trigger, especially in the semifinal of the biggest 9-ball tournament ever. Okay, I mean, it's again only mid-match, but you feel the momentum. Gors is in a good spot mentally and breaking the balls much better, so I feel like a big moment for Szewczyk.
Extension called.
Yeah, Gorst cleared the bar. But in terms of finding the goal, he might have hit the bar. Szewczyk has to make the most of this. He really does.
Yeah, an awkward shot, too, if you're trying to hold with the bottom spin. Going forward, not that bad, but... I'm impressed with him, I'll tell you. Of course, last night, maybe just a different layout of balls, and you never really saw him get into the cue ball, or had to get into the cue ball very often. Now, what's he do with the 6 later on? That's what you have to start thinking about now. The pink does have a couple pockets. It comes simply 1 rail at the pink. He's going to spin around. He's going to catch the 9. What a huge mistake. And the pink went to the lower right. So, like I said, I may have just played for the corner. And really missed his mark by some piece there, Phil. I mean, he wanted to come way inside that 9. All right, the key to this is get into the cue ball. Don't let up. Go ahead and draw 1 rail all the way to the center. Good stuff.
It was indeed cutting back into a blind pocket. No jaw involved, although he's not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, the good thing is, you know, he can come somewhat comfortably into these balls. Don't let up on this as well. Don't get a bit of a kick and hit it thick.
Well, the kiss wasn't what was desired.
Yeah, this is awkward. He's got to get into this as well. He can't just roll it in. He'll fall below the 7. So he's got to come underneath 3 rails. Oh, confidence.
And now the hard work has been done. It's just gravy.
Man, I'll tell you, these guys are standing in the center of the ring, throwing big blows. Just a little float could stun over. You do a lot of things here for the 9 in the same side pocket.
Wojciech Szewczyk wins the rack.
The jump shot from Fedor Gorst did not quite work out. From there on in, that was impressive by Wojciech Szewczyk. Some really good pots. In any context, that was a good rack to win, especially having lost the previous 4. Szewczyk's deficit reduced to 6-5. Well, this match is in keeping with the rest of the championship. Gorst can't quite dominate, can't quite impose his will.
Yeah, and the only difference, I think the other matches, for the most part, when he was behind, there was some mistakes involved. Of course, UK Open champion Robbie Capito there. Fine young player, and there you go, guys, and showing the love. I guess he makes the emojis, I can see, but good stuff from them 2 youngsters.
What a smashing fellow, Robbie Capito. When he won the UK Open, I sat down with him afterwards for a one-on-one. I was doing the report on the tournament for Billiards Digest, and he gave me some great quotes, and he was very thoughtful. And it wasn't just the fact that he'd won the tournament and he was overjoyed. He really understood his media obligations. I think that's why he's going to be a tremendous ambassador for the game, much like Fedor Gorst over the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's, you know, I don't know exactly his studies and whatnot, but 2 years ago, he and I spent a few nights together talking about the game and just talking about, you know, moving forward there in Germany in Fulda, and whether he does it away from school or during school, he's really put in a lot of time reading about different things. You can tell, and a very well-versed young
6
man.
racks to 5.
Well, how good has the 1 been in the side? It's like center cut in the side every time. The cue ball's zigging back and forth, zigzagging, excuse me. And now really just a hanger to start on the blue 2, and everything else is opened up as well.
He wishes he could break like that from here on in. If he did, the final would be beckoning. Well, our first semi-final was locked together at 6-6 before Eklund Kachi pulled away. This looks like being 6-6 also.
And I feel, you know, just a little higher quality in our last semi-final, and that's just how it is in pool. Sometimes just the little things make for a few road bumps, but I wouldn't say this is a road map. But you gotta like the first 3 to get started. Gotta work from the 5 to the 6 and then back to the 8. So again, it's usually early that you may start to get it out of line for a tougher ball later in the rack, but he's in a great position to start. And it looks like a perfect angle on the 4 to just draw straight between the 5 and the 8. I don't want to carry too much angle. Certainly don't want to be straight on the 5, but when he shoots the 5, I wouldn't want to involve going around the 8 or near the 8. I'd like to just come one rail up to the center for a little cut on the green 6. So I want to back this up maybe 2 feet or so. And that'll do. So big decision here. Most would just, again, stay in the center. If you come all the way down, you need to stay off the rail and make sure you get past the 9. And he's done both. The reason why off the rail is so important, if you happen to fall straight, you can draw the cue ball out for position on the black 8. Looks like he got a little angle here to stun. And he's gotten pretty perfect here without moving the cue ball. You know, another foot closer. He's got a little angle. Should be able to get to the side rail, coming back just past the middle pocket.
Wojciech Szewczyk wins the rack.
Stubborn. And with that, he's back on level terms. It was 1-1, it was 2-2, it was 4-4, and now it is 6-6. We are currently watching a contest that has all of the ingredients of a classic.
Wojciech Szewczyk to break. The match is tied, 6 racks each.
We're all square. It's very competitive. Both players are performing at a high level. Mistakes are rare, and of course, it carries immense importance. Well, look at the spread of the balls there, the one in the side.
Pretty doable safety, it looks like, to push through, banking the 2 between the 5 and 8, bring the cue ball right behind the black. Don't think he has an offensive shot besides a bank. Really like this shot here. A lot more room for error. Just don't baby it. That's the key. Yeah, that's the tendency. Got a nice bump on the purple there.
Against Zielinski last night in the quarterfinals, quite a few times he had a right old run of the ball. In this match, things have gone, I think, on his side
Extension called.
to a certain degree, but it's been more subtle.
Yeah, and I think little things. I think a couple times, you know, be fair. Gorst kind of hit the pocket a little crudely. Could have been a miss. Is he going for the jump here? Is he going to bank this away, trying to contain the cue ball on the top end as the 2 comes down? Easily air this if he's trying to make it. Wow, what a shot.
What a jumper. What a jumper he is. Our commentary position is right under an air conditioning unit. We need a jumper. Come on, Fedor.
Yeah. I wish I could keep up with you in that department, Phil. I'll tell you. Got to work on my game. That's not really my game anyways, but that's a little long. That's going to fall underneath a bit. I don't know if it's going to be a problem. The 5.9 is doable, but you have to go 3 rails here. Yeah, this is a little awkward. The green 6 is going to make him, if he avoids the green 6, going to make him get a little thin on the purple. Yeah, and he's going to get way thin. He's really going to entertain the combination now, and he felt pretty good on it.
Well, he's already secured 1 rack with a combo.
Yeah, I wonder if he draws his ball here, really, or kind of just holds. If he draws, he may knock in the purple as well, or may knock in the purple if the 9 doesn't go.
It does go like a rabbit down a hole. And with that, Fedor Gorst gets back in front at 7-6. We cannot overstate, Jeremy, and you've been around far longer than I have in the pool world. We can't overstate just what a great weapon being able to jump like he can is for a pool player.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, he's got natural talent, but that goes with just the hard work of practicing the jump probably more than anybody on the planet. That's why you saw Szewczyk after the safety. He was a little upset he didn't tidy the cue ball up on the black, knowing he's left still. You would think Gors was an underdog, but he seems to bring it in the moment. That's for sure.
I must say, the jump shot adds a wonderful dimension to me, to Nineball pool. So entertaining to watch, so dynamic.
Yeah, and I think, you know, of course, he has the ultimate weapon with the short cue, but I think the top players really pick and choose when to use it better than maybe a tier 2 down. I think sometimes you see some of the players use it a little too often instead of the real first escape, but Gorst's percentage play is just like the rest of his game, always on point.
It's 7 years on from when he announced himself on the international stage by winning the World Junior Championship. Now there is a Hall of Famer making notes. My friend Mike Panozzo, the editor of Billiards Digest, who has been elected into the Hall of Fame this year, and he'll be inducted just before the Mosconi Cup in Orlando, and he is fully deserving. What he's done for billiards, terrific.
Yeah, does a lot for billiards and of course for bowling as well. Has a magazine for both, and I've been fortunate enough to be at a ton of those Hall of Fame inductions. I was upset I missed last year's with Niels Feijen, but I'll certainly be there this year for the guy that usually puts it all together and hosts the event. And I'm still curious on who's going to be the guy that comes up and speaks for him. You know, you always have someone come up and kind of express your tales and journeys through the pool world, but Mike Panozzo, I'm sure there would be so many people honored to hear, you know, to be that guy, and or maybe lady even, you never know, but it's going to be fun, I'll tell you.
I hope he doesn't ask me, and I'll tell you why. I've never been nervous in a commentary box, ever. But when I stand up in front of 100 or 200 people, I'm a jelly.
Yeah, I've had to speak in the One Pocket Hall of Fame, and I ain't gonna lie, I had to have a cocktail or two beforehand, so that's okay. I think he left a piece of this. Now the two did travel enough to cut off the offensive shot. Just left a sliver, but how do you like rolling your ball, just edging the two over, maybe going into the green with the cue ball, and he's going to go to the short cue.
Yeah, by the way, just to tell you that Mike Panozzo's in the Hall of Fame for meritorious
Extension
service
call.
to pool.
Yeah, and of course, how sweet it is to be inducted the same year as SVB, who may go down as the greatest ever. The greatest ever is in the building, though. Efren Reyes. Yeah, I just don't see the future in this jump shot unless you're going to draw the ball. He may be trying to just shake the bush a little bit here. Maybe fluke one. Fluke the safety a bit. And I really hope, and as it should be, you know, we've had that at the International, and it was a nice room, but it needs to be bigger this year for Mike Panozzo's induction along with SVB. And you believe
Extension
SVB was
called.
only 96%? How is he not 100%? Who was that 4% that left him out?
Tough gallery.
Yeah, this is tricky. I mean, does he go between the 7-3, chopping the two ball here to the short rail? Watch out for the side pocket with the cue ball. And I'll tell you what, both these players are playing really, really well. Fun to watch. Not a bad kick shot here, though.
I think in terms of quality, this is perhaps the best match we've seen all week.
May not need the kick shot. Little edge of the blue two sticking out. A lot of cover too to run the cue ball with the 5-9, the 3-6. Now, can he play it lightly, or does he need to really get some separation here and take a chance? May make this. I said it earlier. I'm telling you, they're standing right in the center of the ring and just going at it. That reminds me of Johan Chua with some of the cut shots he's shown us in the last year or so. I don't know. Little off angle here. I'm really surprised that angle will fool you on the dry table. You can really push through that with a bit more top and come 2 rails above. Now he's got to make a nice one in the corner that's definitely off angle. He's going forward here, huh? Is he going to run into the purple? Oh, that's thick. That's thick.
At this stage, we've been waiting for the turning point mistake. No guarantee that's going to be it, but it could be.
Yeah, just the smallest chink in the armor there, and it's not always the most comfortable ball to roll forward with, especially at a lighter speed. Hard to question them, though. They're playing so well. Coming just 1 rail here. Going to keep it simple.
And the graphic you saw there flashed on the screen was rather illustrative. 1 pot missed by Fedor Gorst, and he's only 7-6 ahead.
Yeah, I think that's just the 3rd miss, if I remember correctly, from Szewczyk. 2 missed 2 balls and 1 missed pink right there. But the break is so good for both, not always getting a shot. The way they're playing, no matter who you're pulling for, what side you're on, you're wondering when your player's going to get back to the table. And just make sure you get a nice 5, 6, 8-inch bounce off the second cushion. All right, I don't think he's going to go forward with stun, possibly. May have to kind of pinch this a little and draw up the left side. I think he has options, but you don't want to stun draw up the right side with the 9 there. So it'll be kind of a slow draw back up the left side. And I really feel that match last night has gone a long ways here today for Fedor Gorst. It was as complete a match as he played all week, by some piece as well.
Fedor Gorst wins the rack.
The ghost has been haunting this World 9-Ball Championship, but now he's very much out in the open as the main contender to go into the final to take on Eklund Kachi. 8-6. And the miss on the 4-ball could be crucial. It looked as though Wojciech Szewczyk could possibly draw level again, but then this happened. Always going towards that right-hand jaw, always caught a little too full, and from there Gorst kept it simple and efficient. It's the modern world, isn't it? When you look in crowds in between racks, they have to go to their phones.
Yeah. Too many steel, or aluminum best friends these days, it seems, but that's just part of it. Okay. 2 different kinds of breakers, but they've both been on point. Doesn't seem like 2 or 3 games really makes all the difference the way they're both playing.
Rack 15.
But it sure doesn't hurt.
Fedor goes to break, leading by 8 racks to 6.
Love a break and run before the ad break to head towards the end of this match.
Three more needed to return to the World 9-Ball Championship final.
His 2-ball, for the most part, has been getting kicked to the top end of the table one way or another. And I wonder if he has a go here and just kind of goes into the red 3, taking his chances. I don't think you're going to see a safety, really. Could. Cue ball did exit the rail a little bit, so he does have the bottom half if he wants to do something like move the 2 up table, maybe stun forward, kind of hold behind the 7. He's feeling really, really good. Can he play the blue 2 with left side and go into the brown 7 to hold the cue ball? Does he try to go straight up and down? I don't know if that's there. I think the red 3 will get struck a bit, and he's sizing up the corner, so he's certainly going to tell us what he's thinking.
Extension called.
Yeah, we'll get another look here in a moment. I think if he tries to avoid the red, trying to go up and down, which I just don't see that happening. I think he makes the two a little missable. He might overcut it. I think he's just going to bear down on making this and take his chances with the cue ball. And we saw a couple misses on the blue two from Szewczyk that end up snookering Fedor Gorst at the beginning of the match, but now towards the end, I wouldn't say too much of a roll, but a little bit. And he was certainly at that speed wanting to contact the red three, no doubt. Never had enough to go up and down.
Extension called.
And now inadvertently, Szewczyk in a spot of bother.
And the problem with the jump on the kick and stick, maybe he's just saying, let me hit it, is you're not going to hold the cue ball. The cue ball is going to come up a little bit. I don't mind the jump. I mean, you got to hit it, right? But again, he needs a little fortune with the cue ball. Oh, he did stick it. Heck of an effort there. So now what Gors does is probably just simplifies the two, maybe draws it back a little bit. But you don't want to miss the ball trying to get too cute on the red three. Just take what you can get and make a nice shot on the next.
That is what you practice for. That is why you are a champion. Okay, not ideal position on the three, but what a shot nevertheless. The delivery of the cue, pure under pressure.
Yeah, and totally fooled me. I thought he would just, knock the two in and kind of evaluate, but hey, the adrenaline's going. He's feeling it. He's going to push him one rail behind the four. Little light. He's going to leave more of a jump than he wants. Maybe even a sneak peek at the red three.
I thought he'd nail him down there. Clear path through.
Yeah, remember the two ball last night against Zielinski when he got more of a look than he should. He made it one heck of a shot to kind of seal the match. Yeah, the timing was off on that one. I don't know if it was the beeps or not, but certainly was a little off.
Yeah, I think you're right. Timing in both respects. And now Gorst has a golden opportunity to be 9-6 ahead. No clusters. They're all there.
You saw him take the extension off. Not sure if that means he's going to add a little more side to the ball. Maybe a rolling with a little right English. He likes to stun quite a bit on these. Yeah, it's his normal play. I'll just hold a little angle to play one rail by the 9 off the green 6. Bill, you've seen Gors quite a bit in the last few years, several years, and it's a hard one for me to really pick out. But what's the one word you would pick for his game?
Can I have two? Classy and steely.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many that apply, really, and I mean, the simpler, more simple ones, you can say efficient, right? But that really doesn't give him enough. Definitely got that covered. I think he's got his own type of charisma as well, and just really never gets old, right?
Yeah, World Junior Champion 7 years ago, as I mentioned earlier. He won the World Championship 5 years ago, beating Chang Junlin in the final 13-11. And we knew then a special talent had emerged.
Just a little hold here, won't do much. Just dig a little bit on the cue ball.
Fedor Gorst,
The Ghost
the rack.
floats into a 9-6 lead. Can Wojciech Szewczyk be a ghost buster? The chances are receding. Welcome back to Jeddah in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, hosting the World Nineball Pool Championship for the very first time. We started out with 128 players, now only 3 remain. Eklan Kachi is into the final, and he's also into the European team to take on Asia in the inaugural Reyes Cup in October. Unfinished business here. Fedor Gorst looking to get to the hill against Wojciech Szewczyk. With this amount of money, with this amount of ranking points, Jeremy, it was inevitable that we would have team implications. And I can tell you, for Asia, the first player to qualify is Singapore's Aloysius Yap.
Yeah, and I love that guy, Aloysius Yap. Love so many of the players, actually. And, you know, a guy that puts in a lot of hard work. He's had some incredible victories. He had won the international last year, another tournament in Virginia right before that at Shane Wolford's pool room there at the Wolf's Den, and just an incredible player. And he's going to lead one heck of a team for the inaugural Efren Reyes Cup right there in Manila come late October.
And that's the thing these days, these 5-man teams in both the Reyes Cup and the Mosconi Cup. They are so difficult to infiltrate because all of the teams, Europe, Asia, USA, have so many players and only 5 can make it.
Yeah,
Rack
absolutely.
16,
And
Fedor Gorst to break, leading by 9 racks to 6.
well, it's just like everything else that World Nineball Tour and Matchroom pools they're doing is you got to earn it, you know, right? The Whirlpool Masters is like that now. The Mosconi Cup, the Reyes Cup, we'll see it here again the first time this year, but now all center stage for Fedor Gorst breaking and Szewczyk awaiting. And here's his turn. He hadn't had a dry break since his third break of the match, I believe.
Yeah, dry breaks in racks 2 and 4. And now an untimely one here.
Yeah, it didn't leave a whole lot. Maybe a cross-side bank, actually. And now, do you want to, you know, attack? I don't think the 9's in the way. I think he can bank this by the 9. It's not easy. He's got to kind of shove the cue ball into the brown 7 to open up a shot on the 2. Now, the one thing he can't do is, I don't think this bank is makeable rolling it forward. I think it will spread long. So, not sure what he's looking at there. Maybe looking to see if there's a carom on the 7 while trying to make the bank as well. Now you get 60 seconds, but he's going to use his extension here, I believe.
Extension called.
Yeah, we talked about a bank shot last night he had to maybe end the match that he passed on. That, you know, there's certain banks that 9-ball players don't know quite as well as players that play different games, different disciplines in our sport. 9-ball's the most prevalent, of course, but okay, he's elevating, so that tells me he's going. Yeah, wasn't far off. Ooh, this cue ball welded to the 9, I think. Looks like it kind of settled on it. Fedor doesn't look too unhappy though, so maybe there's an opening.
Two things to think about here as we see the 9-ball going back over in the vicinity of the white. Gorst wants to win. That's the overriding priority. He'd like to win quickly though to give himself some time before the final, but that was a wholesale misjudgment.
Yeah, his hand movements say maybe the cue ball veered. We haven't had many complaints this week on the main table, but he immediately didn't like it. Hand to the head, and then you'll see him kind of, didn't get to see it on the replay, but tell you where, that's where he's really impressed me. Those are funny little shots, kind of stunning and following, trying to hit the line, the mark on the cue ball. Okay, this speed looks perfect to hold a nice angle to come up above the pink. This is where you'll broaden the angle. That way you still hold an easy angle to come across off the pink to the purple, which is across the table. You can see an 8-9 grouped up though, so he's got a lot of work left here. He's got to get proper on the green 6 later to get a nice angle on the brown 7 to open the 8-9. That would be the plan. You know, and as a player, Phil, you know, you can be trailing 2, 3, 4 games, but as long as your opponent's not on the heel, you really feel good about your chances. He's gotten in prime position here to draw up the side rail, because this is the good thing about the 7. It doesn't have to be a particular angle, but as long as the angle's there, you can definitely create on the 8 and 9. Could have been more. You can see a little shake of the head. Maybe a hair of a let up. I mean, I would have liked to have had another 10 to 12 inches down below the 7. Yeah, and there's the mistake, and that's because of the shot on the 6. So we're going to get to see a cross corner bank. I don't think there's another option.
Would you fancy him to get it, Jeremy?
It plays nice from here, and the good thing about it, ooh, can he get at the safety here? If he can get at the safety and he's cueing downward on the ball, he's 3-railing the 8 around. Now remember the jump cue. He didn't really pinch the cue ball up on the 9, so you got to believe Gors is going to the air.
Extension called.
It's tough. It's a tough situation, but no one is better equipped.
Yeah, and you could hear he already called his extension. Not saying he's going to take a lot of time, but he doesn't want any bother while he tries to make another incredible jump. main thing about these jumps is they're always in the biggest moments. He's going to get a little roll. May earn another turn at the table. This 8's going to get really close to the rail as well. This has become very awkward as far as the safety. Yeah, I'm not in love with anything here. You have to go for the bank, really. He's got to warp this in. Stun the cue ball 2 cushions. Wow. How deep is that black 8? Now he would have had to bank the 9, but didn't hit it perfect, but you thought it would take it in.
I wasn't quite sure whether there was going to be some kind of delayed reaction and it was going to flop into the pocket.
Yeah, a little rail first here probably. No, he played ball first. This is going to get away. No. And when they play it like that, they don't know exactly how the cue ball is going to react off the jaws of the pocket. Try not to play it with too much speed, but he didn't want the cue ball to just kind of fizzle and stay there on the rail for some long 9 ball.
You have to seriously wonder, is that the last straw for Wojciech Szewczyk, or will there be another twist in this match? You know, it's only an hour and a quarter until the final is scheduled to begin, but we don't have a lineup yet. We know that Eklan Kachi will be there. He's chomping at the bit, waiting in the wings. If Szewczyk pulls off a full-scale comeback, it will be virtually continuous pool. But the fact remains, Fedor Gorst is 4 up with a possible 5 to play. It's been such a strange championship in so many respects, such a dramatic championship, and there, well, once again, Nineball pool showed it's a game of fractions.
Yeah, absolutely, and he didn't hit it terribly. Again, we talk about playing different games and maybe acquiring different skills that will help you in 9-ball pool as well, and or different disciplines rather. And I was a little concerned the speed he hit it, just because he would never had any kind of position on the 9, but the 8 could have certainly fallen.
Fedor Gorst has produced several fightbacks this week. He's staved off several fightbacks also. Can he produce one more rack and make it into the biggest match of his life?
Yeah, it was probably the weirdest rack of the match right there, with the dry break, a bank and a miss, a couple little safety exchanges.
Rack 17,
and really
Fedor Gorst to break, leading by 10 racks to 6 on the hill.
Didn't expect him to end up short on that 7, which would have made the breakout on the 8-9 pretty simple.
Is this break going to be more on the button?
All right, the 2 is a little covered up. I'll tell you, I'm trying to look and see how easy the safety is, because the 2-6 combination, while it's not easy, that's pretty steep. You're not going to shoot at that. What's he going to do here? Play the 2 and the 6 into the 6, maybe come one rail behind the 9, maybe. That's not easy either. Can't quite bank the 2 away. That's what I would look at, the 2 into the 6. See where he's resting his hand. have the 6 ball kind of hold the 2 in position as he comes 1 rail behind the 9. That's what looks most natural. And when nerves are high, I want to pick out something that kind of agrees with the shot.
Extension called.
Yeah, it's just going to be a rolling ball, maybe a hair kill spin. It's not the worst combination, but I think it's the safety coming. See how he's cueing a little bit of left? That kind of helps you kill the cue ball with the speed. He hit it way light. That's surprising. Not going to be happy with that.
On the threshold of victory, but when the stakes are this high, it still seems like a mountain to climb to win that one single rack.
Well, he knows that Szewczyk, of course, a great player, but also breaking the balls very well. So, you know, the argument, oh, that ball hit the point. I don't know if that's going to hurt him or not. Would have got the snooker if the 2 didn't catch the point behind the pink, but you know, the argument back in the day, or still now, you know, if it's 10-9 and you're the breaker, are you the underdog at a pro level and you trail 10-9, or are you the favorite? So we're only a couple games away from that position.
Had to rush that.
Yeah, and so a couple little things. Didn't expect the light hit on the safety, and didn't get in position enough or quick enough to be comfortable there on that 2-5 combo. All right, needs a little angle on the 3 to make things easy. It's perfect.
In the previous rack, the 8 and 9 ball were set up a little askew, and they always had the potential to cause trouble, and they did. Here, no obvious stumbling block.
Yeah, went forward there. Could have easily just come out and then worked the cue ball off the 4, but he got pretty perfect here, or at least very good enough. All right, if you're going to play a little inside, make sure you get a little bounce off this bottom cushion. Don't want to accidentally fall straight. Okay, he checked it.
Wojciech Szewczyk wins the rack.
It's been the case all afternoon, and it remains so. Wojciech Szewczyk is not going away. We never expected him to surrender meekly. It's 10-7.
Yeah, probably the most odd rack for Fedor Gorst in this semifinal. But again, there's still a lot of pressure. I mean, 10-6 is a nice lead to have in this what is basically a $50,000 match to get to the final, and then exponentially could be more. But Szewczyk, he knows, is breaking the ball, so still pressure.
An hour and 9 minutes till the final is scheduled to begin. So will Eklund Kaci be enjoying this? The fact that he's been able to relax for a while Gorst is still out there in the heat.
Well, whether it's Gorst or Szewczyk in that final with Eklund, I think Eklund will appreciate being able to, like you said, go back, maybe get a shower after a lot of adrenaline and sweat going on in that semifinal. Maybe probably get a little small bite to eat for a little energy later, and maybe knock a few more balls in, maybe break the balls a couple times. But yeah, he'll enjoy that he gets a bit of a break for sure.
Whether it is Szewczyk or Gorst, when they go into the final, for them, considering it's a race to 15, the title match, it will be a marathon of the mind today. Continuous, very highly pressurised
Rack
stuff.
18, Wojciech Szewczyk to break, trailing by 10 racks to 7.
Oh, he missed the one in the side. It's dressing up for Gorst. An awkward 2-ball, but you gotta like his chances to maybe run out or get control on the table itself. And the only time he's missed the one, right? That being Szewczyk.
Yes, not the time to suddenly come up dry.
No, and he's got a few problems here. You know, doesn't want to stun tight towards the upper right corner and lose the cue ball. Now, when I say lose the cue ball, I mean a scratch from nowhere. Inside English one rail wouldn't get him that great on the 2-8 combination. Kind of curious how far and we'll see in a moment how far the 8's off the rail. If there's some kind of kiss shot, playing the 2 off the back of the 8. Okay, he's going to avoid the 7. He's gotten really nice here. And the kiss shot is there if he happened to get steep, right, where he could play off the rail and just tickle the 8 off the 2 off the 8. And now it's going to be a combination, I believe. Yeah, I don't know if he rolls this really with the pink being there. May shoot this with a bit of speed and dig on the cue ball a little bit. Let the 2 kind of open up as the cue ball comes to the center of the table. Odd shot here. Yeah, it was funny. It was always going to be a little funny.
The 2 scuppers Gorst again.
All right, you can see the 3 a little covered up, but it is playable. He's gotten like perfect. Got some work though. Got the 8 to contend with. If he pulls the ball, if he runs the ball, he could fall somewhat straight or even underneath. He's pulling it, so watch out for the black 8 and falling on the rail with the purple 5 back down table. He hit that nice. He really cheated the pocket as well.
When he was dishing up in the previous rack, I said that there was no obvious stumbling block, and same thing applies here. 10-8, very much on the horizon.
Yeah, and win or lose, I'm even more impressed with him, I'll tell you. Such a big moment. Really stayed pretty aggressive with the stroke itself and very battle tested. You're gonna get a little funny. Not saying it's that missable, but now do you want to try and get really good on the 8, or do you want to just work a little harder on the 8, maybe simplify the 7 here? Maybe just get out a half a diamond, cut the 8, and go back and forth for the 9. That's what I was thinking. Is he going to fluke it? Wow. And that's the decision. I would have probably simplified the 7 and just kind of cut the 8. He wanted to get much heavier on the 8, and that's what caused the miss that didn't end up finding in the pocket anyways.
Is destiny in play? We've mentioned before on more than one occasion that he was lucky against Zielinski last night. And boy, had that fluke not entered the pocket, well, his championship was over.
Wojciech Szewczyk.
Flukes are all about timing. That one was such an outrageous one that Szewczyk felt it necessary to apologise not once but twice. He's still in this. He trails only 10 racks to 8. Nineball pool is a game of immense skill and occasionally monumental luck. The 7-ball saved the bacon of Wojciech Szewczyk. He apologised twice.
Rack
Such
19,
was the outlandish
Wojciech
nature
Szewczyk to break,
of
trailing
that
by
fluke.
10 racks to 8.
But of course, flukes don't matter if you don't take advantage of them. Can he pull within a single rack?
A couple of them poured in that side pocket. We saw that from him last night on many occasions. Don't think the 2's opened up here though. Could be fooled, but I think the pink 4 has gotten involved. And boy, you'd like to simplify the safety here if you can. I don't think the kiss shot's really on. Let's say it's low percentage. May have to roll this and kind of bump the 4 a little bit to hold the safety. That's the simple way to play it. Otherwise, it'll be a chop on the 2 and run the cue ball up table. Yeah, he didn't want to leave any kind of easy jump. Oh, this is going to leave a shot. Gors has got his chance.
You don't win the amount of titles he wins without being a monster under pressure. But we just saw there that
Extension
shot
called.
almost straight. It requires the cue action to deliver.
Yeah, Szewczyk missed his mark in a few ways. He wanted a lot more power on that, not only with the 2 getting more up table, but the cue ball kind of stunning more forward, utilizing the pink, the 9, and the purple. Okay, this is where cueing is so important, and also he won't fire this, even though he will. He's going to elevate a little bit, so not much elevation, so he's going to put a little more speed than expected. Gonna get a roll? I don't think so. And I'm really shocked he didn't cue downward and try and play a lighter draw stroke where he could use a bit of the side rail maybe for the blue 2.
As for the pot, he was nowhere near. not in the correct postcode.
Yeah, but the way he tacked, it's got to tell you, he's still feeling pretty good. Okay. Doesn't want this to lock on the 6 in some kind of goofy way, leaving a shot. Gors carrying both weapons to the table, and it's going to be the shorty. Remember the cut on the blue 2 earlier when he went to the air? That was a big pivotal point in this match. Can actually rub the 6 a hair too, pocketing the 2 ball.
Well, that was a more half-hearted sorry from Gorst.
Well, I think the beeps, the shot clock, the 5 seconds has gotten to him
Extension
a couple
called.
times in this match, and I think that was definitely one of them. Wants to hit this solid. I think it's going to be with some speed as well. Give it a chance, maybe fluke something else, but if he can hit it, you know, squarely, you get some separation. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. What a return. So it'll be a 2-rail escape. I don't think I try to get the 2 all the way down here. I like to keep my accuracy and let the 2 just get out in the center of the table off the side cushion, maybe near the purple. It may slide behind the 3 as well. Yeah, I like that speed right there. That way you really keep accurate on the 2-rail kick.
A composed shot in a situation when composure can be compromised.
Yeah, no doubt. Good call there, Phil, and good call by Fedor Gorst. Yeah, this is going to be one that Gorst wants, and wants to end it now. I kind of get the feeling he's really used a lot of energy these last few games trying to get the win. You talked about it's not long before that final starts, so now's the time.
Yeah, less than an hour.
Yeah, he's going to get the prime angle, especially he likes to stun the ball. So he'll come 1 rail across, may get to the second cushion. Wants to fall nice and heavy, that way the pink's not missable with the purple near. So a little preference here on the second cushion. And he's going to come 1 rail up, I believe, for the same pocket for the purple 5.
There is no tension like that which a player feels when they're on the verge of a major victory. In practice, in a normal tournament, in an early rack, easy peasy, but there's nothing easy now.
Yeah, especially he fell a little straight, so he's got to come short side. Wants to stay off the cushion. He's a little flat here as well. Not saying it's a big problem, but it's not the easiest of cue ball movement. Now, sometimes the camera will fool us, that's for sure. Occasionally you get fooled at the table, but I don't think that's the case for Gorst here. Just stay away from the 9. That's the main thing. Took a little gamble there, Phil. I'm not going to lie. I mean, he had to create some angle. That's why you saw more of a punchy kind of stroke, but just 2 rails out. Little cut shot on the 9, and we have 2 monsters in the final, not but an hour away.
It really has been a brave, courageous run to this stage for Wojciech Szewczyk after losing his opening match. But now he's sitting there, no doubt fearing the worst. The journey almost over.
You know, I think the right man's got to the final. You've said it all week, I've said it all week. He's just been sort of just getting over the line, hasn't he? And the writing seems to have been on the wall. And listen, what a final we're going to have here.
Yeah, what a final indeed. I mean, Eklund Kachi looked magnificent, I think it's fair to say, in his semi-final. Whereas Fedor just gets the job done. He's grinding through these all week. He's grinded. He's had 3 matches that have gone hill. Obviously not today, but he finds a way to get it done. It wasn't easy as well, was it?